Hey, Liza, thanks for joining me. I'm so excited about this interview. Thank you for your time and all of your hard work. And we can jump right in if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again for inviting me. I'm so honored. I always love, chatting about my passion and, talking to other small businesses. So I appreciate being here.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of folks are excited to hear from you, to hear your story. So that kind of leads us into our first question. And that's how this interview will roll. So I'm just going to ask several questions just to get to know you. And as the conversation takes us, we'll go from there. But we all want to know how you got into this because you have built a brand that so many people love to watch grow. It's expanding. You just launched your wallpaper. We're pumped to see that go. But how did you get into this? Where did the beginning start?
Oh, well, thank you. Let's see. I've always had an appreciation. So I think, growing up, my mother collected art. My grandmother was an art collector. And then my sister, who is a few years older, she managed a gallery in Charleston. So art has always been a part of my life. And, just creating a house, a home. And so there's always been an appreciation. But I also didn't go to school. I mean, I went to school, a sociology major. I love to travel. But right after college, I started collecting. And then specifically when I moved to Richmond, now my husband, but when we purchased our first home, friends would come in and be like, well, where are you finding this art? And, I was like, oh, well, I personally was purchasing online. And that was kind of when artists, probably about 8 or so years ago, were putting it out on Instagram. And so I would purchase something, it came in, it was exactly what, I thought it was going to be like. And, my sister, who had been in a brick and mortar, was like, you didn't touch, you didn't feel, like, I don't understand. And I was like, yeah, no, everything's great. And so, yeah, those were definitely first big, there's some big investments in the beginning. I think, I feel fortunate I started collecting back then because I have a Blakely Little piece. I have a Raven Roxanne piece. I have a Renee Bouchon piece in my home. And so it's amazing to see how they've evolved. But to go back to the question, so I just, yeah, family and friends, it was just kind of organically happened. They were asking, and I was in a sales job at that time. I was in medical sales. I did that
Oh,
for
wow.
about 6 or 7 years. Yes. So you talk about the polar opposite, I specifically was selling, I worked in dental. I was selling teeth,
Yeah.
dentures and crowns, and great job, great flexibility. I was 1099, but at the end of the day, it wasn't something I was super, super passionate about, the product. And so a girlfriend and I were chatting, and she really was passionate about jewelry. I was passionate about the art. And so 7 or so years ago, we kind of started doing little trunk shows and pop-ups. Well, jump to, I think it was 2017, 2018, I really wanted to take it full time. And so I put all my focus into, curating art. And I saw that one, right, there were young collectors, new collectors, first home buyers that, were intimidated by purchasing art. And so I wanted to create a platform that was, inviting for them, that was super transparent in pricing, and what they were going to receive. But also I wanted to create a platform that was safe for artists that were up and coming, that were emerging, that wanted to start getting into the market, but didn't know how. So I wanted to be approachable for them. So that's where how the brand started. It just was from family and friends asking me a question. And then with kind of my sales background and passion, I was like, well, I'm going to create an online platform.
Make it work. Yeah, for sure. Now, your tagline, I believe, is connecting art to people. Is that right?
Yep. So connecting art that speaks to you. And that really is bottom line. That's kind of my mission. And that's what I believe personally. I think you should, thinking kind of can go with anything, but I think you should purchase art that you truly love, that, it makes you happy, or if it makes you think, rather than forcing something that might match, a pillow or it has to be a certain size to go on this wall. Because at the end of the day, if you find something that you love, you'll make it work.
Right.
You'll find a place. And also life evolves and you move or you grow, your family grows. So things do shift and it's fun. Like, I mean, I would have a piece in our old home that was maybe fit over the mantle, but we bought a home 3 years ago and now that piece is, in my children's playroom. I mean, it's just your life evolves.
Yeah.
And so if you love it, you'll find a place.
Well, and our seasons change too. So things can change that way. Yeah, for sure. So when we're talking about your passion as art and how you're connecting people to art, how do you decide what art you're carrying on this platform you've created?
Great question. Again, I go back to that tagline. It's, for me, it's something that speaks to me that I also believe that I would put in my own home. I think now, being 5, I believe, yeah, we just hit our 5-year, or we're about to hit our 5-year mark. I think people now are trusting my eye. So I really try to stay true to, what speaks to me and what I love. Right, I kind of curate it. And, at the end of the day, I can't please everybody, but I do believe our audience, they'll trust my eye and that's why they keep coming back. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's something that would be in my own home.
I love that. I love that. Well, I'm sure your home is lovely, and in a place that everyone would feel safe at and enjoy what they're looking at. As we're kind of talking through this, I have some dirty detail questions for you. So how do you plan your art releases? So is it more of a spontaneous, I love this artist, I got to get them in, or is it strategic? Are you planning out 6 and 8 months ahead?
A little bit of both. We definitely have a calendar. We're already planning out 2024. Yeah, I mean, funny enough, you asked this. Yeah, yesterday, one of my coworkers, Carrie, she really helps me with artist management. And so, yeah, I was on emails yesterday and we've got releases, like solo releases already scheduled out for next November. So, artists that we have worked with, we have that relationship. And so they might be more willing to ask us, or we also know how they work. And so some artists want to work off a scheduled release where others are they're more spontaneous or they're more prolific and they're always in the studio and, hey, I want to show you, I just created 2 new pieces. They might not want to build out a collection. But yes, primarily it's our calendar I like to be organized. That's just kind of how I work. So we like to schedule things out. And then this year we just started where we want to have like more monthly submissions. So this allows artists that we think may be good, a good fit for our audience, but might not be quite there yet to do a solo release or a solo spotlight. Because sometimes some artists don't even want that type of attention either. They want to kind of get their feet wet and test the market with us as well. So that it doesn't overcommit them and they still feel comfortable enough to put their work out. So we've offered where, we have these monthly submissions as well as these spotlights, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm also a very organized type of person. So I understand the need to do that. And it makes your year flow a little smoother,
Right.
So as you're planning these releases and you're working with your coworkers to make sure the artists are happy because you're keeping your clients happy and your artists happy, how do you market and promote those? Do you have a guideline for that? Are you only looking at Instagram? Are you looking at Instagram and Facebook? What platforms do you use to market these releases?
Yeah, great question. So I think when we first started off about 5 years ago, Instagram was huge. And I think for all small businesses, it was our way to communicate. I think things have evolved and we started building, for us personally, we started building a clientele that did trust our eye. And we also learned, okay, this is the type of style they look, subject, medium, or artist. And so there's I work with a marketing team and I feel very fortunate. My sister-in-law owns her own marketing firm. And so they really help me stay organized, but we really value our email and our text marketing. So we try to hit the social media platforms. So right, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, even LinkedIn will promote maybe more stories. That's where kind of blog or informational items go. But Instagram post, it could be a still post, it could be a reel, it could be stories. And then of course that goes to Facebook and then Pinterest. But we really focus a lot on our email and our text marketing. So at the end of the day, to me, if you're giving away that type of information, then you really you're invested in that brand and you value their, what they're putting out. And that's also what we see. You can kind of see on your site the stats, but we really see the traction coming from those campaigns.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting to get the data, right, from maybe an email campaign or, you look at your Instagram dashboard, things like that. And I know the artists that are watching this interview, they also are probably looking at a lot of these numbers and they're, it's a little overwhelming in the beginning, but once you figure it out, you know where to go next.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's right. I try to encourage Instagram is great. Social media is great because we would never have met if it wasn't social media and a lot of the artists I work with. But at the end of the day, I don't own, Instagram. And so we run ads if it's on Google. We'll do paid sponsorships. But again, the email, the text marketing it's like gold to me. So that's really where we value and put a lot of our energy into.
Yeah, I love that. I get your texts. That's how I heard about your wallpaper. So they work. I mean, they're great. So with the marketing piece, planning ahead, artist relationship management, all of these things, what does a typical day look like for Liza Pruitt?
It varies, but so for instance, like our spotlights and our launches usually fall on if we do like specific spotlights, they usually on a Tuesday or Thursday. So of course those days I'm a little bit more nervous and making sure that everything looks good on the site. But it's an early morning phone call with the marketing team. What do we got to do? What's our task for the day? I work closely with our graphic designer. It's, contacting, right. It's the communication with the artists because like you said, or like I said earlier, some want to show me what's going on in the studio. They might not want to wait till a release. And it's, what I do love, honestly, at the end of the day, I love connecting with the consumer or if that may be like the first time collector or with an interior designer. So there's a lot of behind the scenes, it's interesting how I think social media makes everybody think that's the only thing that's going on. But it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of emailing, and I like to be out there and socialized and present the art at client meetings. But I have to say, I'm behind it. I am in front of a computer a lot.
Oh, I believe it. I really believe it.
It's funny. One of my designer friends, she's like, oh yeah, interior designer is like 10% of it is the fun pulling material. She's like, majority of it is the logistics. And that's kind of what I'm doing too, making sure that something's showing up, that is shipped properly. So it's just, we wear a lot of hats.
Oh yeah. Well, that leads honestly right into my next question of, do you have any tidbits? Because all artists are also entrepreneurs. You're an entrepreneur. All the hats we're wearing, we're emailing, we're doing customer management, we're invoicing, you're doing all the things. And you may have people you've delegated to, maybe a marketing team or a graphic designer, but maybe tell us a little bit of your secret sauce. How do you manage all the weight of being an entrepreneur?
Great question. I don't know if there is a secret.
I don't know either.
I really think, you got to take it day by day. Or that's personally what I do. I mean, I think it takes a village. So I think, it's great to have that type of support. And that support might be within your own home, if it may be your partner, or it might be reaching out, right? I feel very fortunate. I have a sister-in-law that owns her own marketing firm. I bounce a lot of ideas off of her. We're partners. So I get the whole mentality of like, right, like an artist, you're in the studio, you're by yourself. I think if it's grabbing coffee with a friend or another entrepreneur and just bouncing ideas off, like I think we have to create a community. Because there's not really a secret sauce. I just, I take it day by day.
Oh,
Honestly.
yeah. Yeah. I feel that I originally started, being very solo on my own. And I learned it very early on. You have to have someone to let it out. And your partner may be, a great person to communicate with, but sometimes our partners don't want to talk about art all day. And so it's really good to have fellow artists, fellow small business owners that you can text and say, I have 17 emails and no time today, and
Exactly.
commiserate with.
Exactly. Yeah.
So where do you see this digital gallery, this online curated space? Where do you see it evolving? I know right now text messaging marketing is a really hot thing. And I think you are definitely on the beginning of that, maybe one of the front runners of showing how that could be successful. But where do you see this space going in the future?
Great question. I'm really focusing, a lot. I feel like a lot of times people will ask me, what are you going to open a brick and mortar? And that's just not a part of the business plan. Right now I've got two little girls. And so really when we started and then COVID reiterated why I wanted to be online. And I think, people changed the way, or they had to learn a little bit differently, how to view art, how to learn about it. And so our focus is digital. We are looking into more, AR, augmented reality, trying to find, better ways for people to maybe view the art in their space. But it's just, I want to stay focused and stay online. I want to be able to grow. I think we could, work with more artists. Right now we're within the US. We actually just signed to artists in Canada.
Oh, wow.
And they just launched their work within the past week. And so I think that is, the focus is to build, our talent base, but also, right, broaden our audience. And so I think that's, our goal for the next year or so is tapping into different markets. But staying
so crazy
true to our brand.
the amount of opportunity. We see our small piece of the algorithm, right? But there's just so much that we could tap into. Coming from an artist perspective, because that's who I serve. It's infinite, the opportunities.
Right.
So it's really neat to hear you say that, because I see that from this side of the table too. But from the gallery standpoint, I mean, your market is infinite as well. So it's exciting to hear. So Liza, what would you say to an aspiring artist that is coming to you for the first time, looking to get their toes wet, wanting to start selling their work, and they've got a portfolio they've been creating, but they're coming to you saying, Liza, I want to sell it now. I want to go to the masses. What's your advice for that first time artist?
Patience. I really truly believe that good things take time. And it doesn't happen overnight. And I think there is plenty of room out there for everybody to put their art out into the world. But, some artists will be suited for certain markets. And so I think it's patience and it's finding those right partnerships, those right relationships, but to be confident in yourself in your work, and it'll happen. I have artists that I worked with or I spoke with, year one of starting my business that I maybe didn't sign until year four because I was looking for something specifically. And, I also had to value and remember like what my audience wants to see. And so I think good things just take time. So patience would be my recommendation.
Love it. One word answers. These are post-it comments. I tell people just write that one on a post-it and put it on your mirror so you can remember it every day. But I think, you're right. Yeah.
I have to tell myself that
all the time, right? Well, I will end our interview with a question I ask anyone I ever interview, and it's my favorite question. So if you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Easy. Sarah Blakely. I love her. I really do. I think she's so inspiring. She's so real and authentic. I also like the grassroots startup. I mean, she hustled and she still hustles.
So share a little bit for maybe someone who doesn't. I know who she is. I'm from Atlanta, so I know, but.
Okay, so Sarah Blakely, who started Spanx.
Spanx, that's right.
And I think at the end of the day, I just love that she doesn't take life too seriously. But of course, this is all what I'm seeing from social media, but watching Shark Tank as well, seeing her on there. I really value her opinion. And funny enough, I really like her husband now too. And getting to know like that whole family. He's funny. He's I think he's a life coach or inspirational speaker. And I don't know. I like their viewpoints on life.
Yeah. So having dinner with the Blakeleys. Well, maybe we can make that happen.
Yes, please.
I would also enjoy that conversation. I think she's really inspiring, but I am so thankful you spent some time with me this morning. And I know that the artists that see this are really going to enjoy just gleaning from you, the wisdom you have built, especially in your brand as you transitioned from medical sales into this beautiful art business you've built from the ground up. So you also are probably on people's list of who they'd have dinner with. So take that to heart. But Liza, I will leave you just with some words of encouragement that don't give up. Keep doing what you're doing. You're building a brand that is truly amazing. And I know artists across the country are grateful for that.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And that's exactly why we started. So I hope everybody knows I'm an open book. They can always reach out to me. If it may be me or Carrie or Aaron or Sally, part of the team, we're always here to listen. And, I'm learning every day as well. So, but thank you so much again for taking the time to speak with me today.
Yeah. Well, we will, I'm sure, be touching base in the near future, but I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I hope your sweet girls enjoy this nice fall weather.
Thank you so much.